What is compare or contrast? It's something you do on a daily basis. For instance, you may have to buy a new cell phone. Hopefully, you won't just go into a store and buy the first one you see. A smart shopper compares and contrasts different phones, and he or she may also look at different plans. For example, Sprint is a lot different from Verizon in cost and what it offers. You also may compare food when you're shopping as you look for the best deal on your favorite cereal. In writing, compare or contrast is a rhetorical mode. That is, a type of writing with a specific purpose that you can use when writing a paragraph or essay. For an assignment, a teacher may want you to see the connections or differences between books, poems, ideas, or other things, and assign you an essay to compare, for example, two characters from literature. Compare or contrast as a rhetorical mode can help you write this essay more easily. You may have noticed that I don't call it compare and contrast, although it's often called that. I call it compare or contrast. You'll usually do one or the other, depending on the topic and length of the assignment. The keys to a good compare or contrast are critical thinking and analysis. In other words, you need to find the nitty-gritty details about what makes people, places, or things the same or different, and determine the significance of those similarities or differences. When you are comparing two or more people, places, or things, you are looking for what they have in common. In other words, you are looking for what makes them the same, how they are similar. For example, think of two of your closest relatives, perhaps your favorite aunt and uncle. How can you compare them? Avoid the obvious physical details like hair color. Think about their personal characteristics. Do they both have a good sense of humor? Are they both interested in the same activities, like dancing or going out to eat? Think more deeply about them. Maybe your aunt and uncle had the same kind of upbringing, so their values, like ideas of what is right and wrong, are the same. Sometimes you may be asked to contrast two or more people, places, or things. When you are contrasting, you are looking for the ways in which they are different, how they differ from each other. Let's take a look again at the aunt and uncle. How can you contrast them? Again, stay away from the obvious. We all can tell that one's taller than the other, and that one is a man and the other is a woman. How about their outlook on life? Is one more optimistic while the other is more pessimistic? Maybe your uncle loves Italian food because he was stationed there while he was in the military, while your aunt grew up in Georgia, so she prefers Southern cooking. As you can see, it's easy, with a little bit of thinking, to find out how people, places, and things are the same or different. Now let's think about how compare or contrast works at the college level. Always keep in mind the purpose and goal of the assignment. For this video, we will be looking at a paragraph and an essay contrasting two fast food restaurants. I chose McDonald's and Burger King because most people have a strong allegiance to one or the other. One of the best ways to get started with a compare or contrast writing assignment is to make a chart. You don't have to have it organized at first. In fact, it doesn't even have to be formally done on a computer. Just take a sheet of paper, divide it into as many columns as you have people, places, or things to compare or contrast, and list the similarities or differences between them, depending on whether you are comparing or contrasting them. Let's take a look at a chart one class made after analyzing McDonald's and Burger King. As you can see, the chart is not very well organized at this point, since the final product, the paragraph, has to be logically organized using major details and supporting details. We have to break down the items on the chart into logical categories. We can do this by looking for ways to group the items on the list into categories. These categories become the major details. For the purpose of writing this 12 to 16 sentence paragraph, we chose three categories: convenience, variety of food, and healthiness of food. The items highlighted in red on the chart discuss the convenience of the two restaurants. The items highlighted in blue are the healthy options. The items highlighted in green show the variety of food options available at McDonald's and Burger King. We stuck to only three major details. Therefore, the items not highlighted weren't used in the paragraph. By the way, it's okay to have extra categories you won't use when you're preparing your chart. Just choose the categories that are most relevant to proving your point in the paragraph or essay. The next step is to choose an organizational pattern for the paragraph. We can either use the point-by-point method, in which we alternate between the two restaurants when discussing each category, discussing each point or major detail for both restaurants in topic sentence order rather than discussing each of the restaurants separately. We could also choose to use the block format, in which we discuss each of the restaurants separately, first one and then the other. The class chose the point-by-point method. Now let's take a look at the finished paragraph. The topic sentence is read. We listed the 3 major details, then we start discussing the details in the order they are listed in the topic sentence. The first major detail, convenience, is followed by a supporting detail. Burger King is open late, but McDonald's has more 24-hour locations. The next major detail is the variety of the food. We used 2 supporting details for this major detail: the better varieties of drink options and chicken options that McDonald's offers. Note the transitions. I start off the second sentence with the transition, one reason, for the first major detail, and the next sentence with the transition commonly used in contrast paragraphs, unlike. Although is another transition that we use in the next sentence. Other transitions are instead and while. These transitions help the reader to know you are contrasting the 2 restaurants and help the paragraph flow smoothly from point to point. Please note, however, that there are different transitions to use if you are comparing people, places, or things. We finally end with a concluding sentence that sums up the main point of the paragraph. It restates the topic sentence in fresh, original language, and it also adds a point of interest for the reader. Even though I sometimes eat at Burger King, I prefer to eat at McDonald's because of its large variety of regular and healthy food options, and it's more convenient for me since I work different shifts. It's just as easy to create a compare or contrast essay from the same topic. All you need to do is create an introductory paragraph, 2 or more body paragraphs, and a conclusion. The class chose to stick with the same point-by-point format, but you could use the block format. For the purposes of the essay, we chose only 2 related major details: variety of food options and convenience. Let's take a look at the essay. Because of its name, Burger King would seem to be the king of fast food restaurants. However, McDonald's wins the prize for king in my thinking. Whenever I go out to eat and there is a choice between Burger King and McDonald's, I choose McDonald's every time. I've eaten at both restaurants, and McDonald's is better because of the variety of food options and the convenience. I added a hook in the introduction to attract the reader's interest. The thesis statement is read. Look at the first body paragraph. The first sentence of the next paragraph is the topic sentence. Because an essay is more developed than a paragraph, you should add more supporting details to the body paragraphs, as we did with the words in blue. The next paragraph of the essay also adds supporting details, the words in blue. The conclusion begins by restating the thesis statement in fresh, original language, then it sums up the main points of the essay. I end with a sentence that states our opinion on the topic and then gives the reader something to think about. As you can see, writing a compare or contrast paragraph or essay is pretty easy if you use your analytical and critical thinking skills. Just remember, compare and contrast isn't just for English or writing courses. You might be asked to compare 2 major battles in a history course, or contrast 3 business models in a business course. Just remember to analyze what you're being asked to compare or contrast, looking for ways they are different or the same. This is easily done with a chart. Choose the major details for the paragraph or essay. Do this by separating the items on the chart into categories. Organize the paragraph or essay by using point-by-point or block pattern. Write the paragraph or essay using the appropriate transitions. Remember, if you have questions after watching this video, please make sure to contact your professor. He or she will be able to answer your questions. Good luck with your writing.